to the Rangers Livingston game. There's a lot of comments coming in asking us to talk about it. Ewan says, as a Jers fan, to have a chance at league title is great, but the players don't look interested until the last 15 minutes. Danny needs to put a rocket up them at kickoff rather than half-time. John says the full team of Rangers players were like deer in the headlights. They don't know how to handle a title running, and there's more of that ilk. John as well says, you're missing the biggest issue. Rangers shouldn't have been scrambling the dying minutes to beat Livy.
Spot on, John Curry.
The Rangers players didn't get started until Livy went down to 10.
Hard to disagree with any of that, Daniel. I mean, you have asked me loads of times on here about who's going to win the title and who's the favourites, and I don't think I've actually ever said Rangers, and the reason for that has been, I watch them so often, I've just never felt convinced that this Rangers team were playing like champions and looked like champions, and Sunday was just yet another example of that. I mean, I said to Danny Rowe actually after the game, was he kind of torn between, being, I suppose, proud of the way they fought back and managed to get themselves a point when it looked as if all was lost at one point, or is he just annoyed and frustrated that they find themselves in that situation in the first place? And I think it has to be the latter. I mean, Rangers form away from home, last 3 away games, can't beat Hibs, can't beat Motherwell, can't beat 10-man, bottom of the league Livingston. That's not title winning form. And look, everybody knows that this Sunday's Old Firm game is absolutely massive for both of the clubs. I mean, it's a must win for both of them. You had to say the losers of that, I think, pretty much get knocked out of the title race. That's how big this game is. But Rangers and Danny Rowe, I think, need to be hugely frustrated by these results. The only time I felt as if they'd maybe turned the corner was obviously the Hearts game at Ibrox when they came back. But even then, I felt they looked still fragile defensively, conceding the two goals. And as one of the guys touched on there, too many players no turning up on Sunday. Skov Olsen's been mentioned there, another prime example. This guy's been signed for on loan. Was it 13 million valuation? Talk about maybe getting permanently for 8-9 million this summer. I mean, he was signed to try and get Rangers over the line in the title race, and yet they're having to hook him at half time at Livingston because it doesn't look interested. He doesn't look capable of influencing the game. And one of the callers was right there. The hunger and the appetite and the desire, it doesn't seem to be there in these games, these away games for Rangers, right for the off. And it's a big problem for the manager. I mean, Mikey Moore obviously got the equalising goal. And I mean, he's an 18-year-old kid on loan. If the rest of the players had the hunger and the desire and the appetite to make things happen and to win games as Mikey Moore has, I think they'd be absolutely fine. But they don't. Far too many.
That's not the first time we've said that, Scott.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm sure it was at Easter Road when Rangers dropped a couple of points that he came off the bench and he put in more effort, more energy, more desire into his cameo performance than you saw anywhere else across that Rangers side. And it was almost a carbon copy performance. Lethargic, they'll point to, and this is, I was saying yesterday, Scott, the stats will tell you, they were peppering the goal, they had 15 shots in the first half, and all that's true, but your eyes tell you a different story. That was a Rangers team that were going through the motions, and everybody's waiting for somebody else to do it for them. Nobody's taking the bull by the horns, apart from the 18-year-old boy that isn't even a permanent Rangers player. I think that's staggering. When you're this close to a title and you're playing away from home against a team which is already doomed to relegation, and you can't muster up a performance.
Yeah, and
I
also
think that's a big concern.
And also the fact, what's the point in dominating a game like that? And as you say, maybe peppering the goal with shots or efforts when you look so vulnerable going the other way. I mean, Livingston, was it Livingston haven't won a game in 21 games?
August.
I mean, and every time they broke on Rangers, they looked like causing them a problem. Every time they got a set piece, they looked like scoring a goal. I mean, we're talking about some of the new players not doing it. I thought Chukwani was poor as well at the weekend, but it's actually experienced players. I mean, John Souttar on Sunday, just signed a new contract at Rangers, and is one of the leaders in that dressing room, one of the guys that you're looking at to really try and push people over this finishing line in the title race. I thought he was really poor on Sunday. I mean, you look at the 2 goals, a needless free kick he gives away for the first one. The second goal, it's a slack 6-yard pass to Tavernier on his right. Rangers lose the ball. Suter chases the Livingston player, then brings him down a dangerous area, and they lose the second goal for that free kick. Danny Rose, he's wanted to try. He has to be relying on these guys, but they're not doing him any favours in these games. And look, they're still in it by getting the point. They're still in it, 10 games to go, 4 points off Hearts. There's obviously big games to play, but I'll say what I said at the start. They just don't look like a team. They don't look like a champions team to me. And look, people will say Celtic don't look like champions at this stage, and some people will even say, if Hearts really got it in them to be champions, but Hearts look the most likely, you have to say, because Danny Rowe and even Martin O'Neill keep saying there's going to be twists and turns in this title race. I mean, to me, the only twists and turns are coming for Rangers and Celtic, because Hearts are beating just about everybody else. They're winning these bread and butter games. So this Sunday's going to be absolutely massive. I mean, that goes without saying, doesn't it?
Yeah, I just think with this one, Scott, honestly, we spoke about it. I said going into the January window that I didn't feel Rangers had the quality to win a title. I said that it would need upgrades in key areas in order to change my mind on that. I think they have brought in upgrades in key areas.
Yep.
But, if Scott Olsen isn't going to produce, if he, and he was so far off the pace of that game at the weekend, manager had little choice. I'm not sure the manager picked the right starting 11. I would have concerns about that. And then the substitutions, I thought, were all over the place. It was basically throwing muck at the wall at one point. I have no idea what the final formation was supposed to look like. And I've also no idea why turning to Thelo Asgard when you're desperate to try and save the day is a good idea. But what I would say is, Scott, what you're saying about Suter is spot on. Also, see the second goal, Lewis Smith, brilliant take for Lewis Smith. It's a brilliant pass from Danzo into him, brilliant reverse pass. But it actually looked like a brilliant pass until you looked at it and realised it's the obvious pass. That wasn't a genius. It wasn't a, it wasn't through anybody. It was staring him in the face. It was perfectly executed. But why? It was staring him in the face because one, Raskin comes out towards the ball because he's made a mistake he's trying to clear up. But I'm afraid, and I don't like doing this, and who's the guy, Ramage or whatever it is that keeps commenting? James Tavernier. James Tavernier's got to go out. He's got to go out. He's got to identify where the man is. He's marking nothing. He's marking space in the penalty. 5 yards, if he gets himself out 5 yards to his right, he shuts that down. And these are the same defensive mistakes that have been haunting Rangers and which have made them incapable of really putting up a proper title fight for years and years now.
Jack,
and it's the same guys in the same positions.
The defending is terrible for both goals. And if you're in the midst of a title race and especially going away from home, look, there's going to be some games where everything doesn't go our way, the home team make it really tough for us. We're going to need to really try and eke out a result. To do that, you have to be solid defensively first and foremost. There cannot be that vulnerability at the back in games like that when you're going for a title. And that was the case on Sunday. They look so fragile. Even the Hearts game that they won at Ibrox, the 2 goals they conceded were preventable. You cannot keep going like that in a title race. I don't think you have to be solid first and foremost. Hearts at home to Falkirk on Saturday. No, I don't think I only seen the highlights. I don't think they murdered Falkirk in the game. But tell you what, they made sure they were keeping a clean sheet